Hello friends, and welcome back to Mothership. Today we are going to be trying out the internet sensation that is 0 to 400 chicken wings. Let's get started. Alrighty guys, first things first, there are a couple things we want to do, and this is what I do for all my chicken. I recommend doing it whether you're doing an entire whole chicken, chicken thighs, chicken breasts, chicken wings. First thing you want to do is get them wet brined, which means you put them in a vat of water with some salt in there. You can put other stuff. The salt's the most important part. Leave it in there. I usually just do about 24 hours. That's usually enough for me. I do a ratio of 1 tablespoon kosher salt to 1 cup of water. Basically, that gets salt to permeate all throughout the meat, lets it stay a little bit juicier, and gets your salt content done. Then what we want to do, take it out of there, pat them completely dry, and throw them into your refrigerator. That's going to start to pull some of that moisture out and get you a nice dry exterior. That's the secret to crispy skin. Trust me. Do that and you're going to be way ahead of just about everything else. Those are the most important steps for chicken. Now usually I don't do a binder for anything that I rub, but for chicken I usually give it a little bit of olive oil. That allows it to crisp up a little bit. You could definitely use butter. I do that on my whole chickens, but we're just going to wipe these down with some olive oil. Since we dried out the exterior, this also gives us a kind of a tacky surface for our rub, which in this case is actually going to be pretty mellow. If you're just following along for the method of cooking, you can do whatever you want at this point. Just make sure if you wet brine, you don't want to add anything with salt. But for me, I'm just going to add some coarse black pepper and some garlic powder. Now I'm not being super precise because I am going to do a kind of a dredge or a glaze on these. So it's not really imperative that I get all my filler from my rub. If you guys are just doing a dry rub, obviously coat everything down completely. But I just want to get both sides nice and coated down with some black pepper and some garlic. And that is my pre-prep for this chicken. Now the secret to doing the 0 to 400 wings, or I guess the method, is basically you're going to put your chicken on when it's cold and just bring it all the way up to 400 degrees and finish off cooking. What that supposedly does is it gives it a more natural type of low and slow all the way up to hot, so some of the fat can render better. Honestly, it's one of those internet memes. I don't know if it's really worth it. Personally, I'm actually really enjoying using my Weber kettle in the Vortex, but for the pellet smoker, this is a new way to try it. Usually I just throw it on at about 400 degrees or 350, somewhere in there for about an hour, and just take it off. So I'm interested to see what the results are going to be of this style. I know it's super popular, and we're going to test that today. If you were following along with my recipe, I'm going to use lemon zest, which means that I just zested up the exterior of the lemons, don't get the white spot. But I'm going to take this off right now, and I'm going to throw this actually onto the smoker when we start this. I want to get this, dry out a little bit for about half an hour of that smoke session. But if you are about ready to eat in about an hour, a little bit after that, it's time to turn our smoker on. The pellet smoker we're going to set at 400 degrees, and we're going to leave the door open like we always do so it doesn't explode. And we're going to wait just until it starts to get some heat and the smoke starts to billow out of it. And that's the point we're going to throw our chicken on, and then we'll go outside and I'll show you at that exact moment. Okay, the initial thick smoke has stopped. It is starting to go up in temp, which means it is ready to close the door. So I'm going to throw our chicken wings on at this point. And then what I want to do here is I want to let it run for about a half an hour. At that point, we're going to flip them. But we're going to let this run right now for a half an hour. Like I said, I'm going to toss my lemon zest on for about a half an hour. But I'm going to close the door, set at 400 degrees. It's going to come up to temperature, run it for half an hour, and then we'll flip it. Half an hour later, and let's give these all a good flip. I'm going to let them run for another half an hour, but honestly, this is the point where you're going to have to start watching them. So depending on how thick your wings are, obviously you might need to pull them off a little bit sooner, a little bit after, but we're looking for, the good doneness. But I'm looking at about a half an hour now. I'm going to pull off my nice and crispy and smoked and dried out lemon zest, but I'm going to close this up. Let it keep running for, like I said, another half an hour, but probably somewhere between, 20 and 40 minutes, realistically. 1 hour and 10 minutes later, and these are actually looking pretty perfect. There's definitely crispy. I was a little worried that they weren't going to crisp up, but that extra 10 minutes actually took them exactly where I wanted them to be. If you are doing dry rub, make sure to watch if anything starts to burn. These look okay to me. I'm going to pull these off. And I'm going to do a kind of a glaze. So I'm going to just let them rest a little bit before I throw that glaze on. And if you're following along for the recipe, you know what? Once I pull these off, let's throw together that glaze. So these look pretty good. Nice crispy exterior. They smell great. We can let this die. so we can get inside and see how our wings are doing. The glaze I'm going with is pretty simple. I'm going to take the juice from about half a lime. This is for about 1.5 pounds of wings. I'm going to take about 2 teaspoons of lemon thyme. This is fresh. Shout out to my fiance's aunt for some fresh thyme. I'm also going to do the lemon zest that we did from that lime, which I had thrown on the smoker earlier to let it dry out. Then I'm going to take a tablespoon of honey. And then a bit of olive oil just to get the consistency up to where we can mix it. Then we just want to get everything mixed together, get that honey dissolved into that lemon juice. Now giving another taste test, I'm actually going to add another tablespoon of honey just because it needed a little more sweetness. It was a particularly tart lemon. Perfect. Now I'm going to take my wings and I'm going to throw them directly in here, just toss them together, get some of that flavor on there. And this is what we're going to use for our wings today. So these chicken wings look great, guys. Honestly, they're going to be fantastic given the fact that we use these fresh herbs and a whole bunch of different types of acid, salt, and different types of flavors, but they're going to be really good. What really matters here is what's the quality of the cook. So we did a 0 to 400 degree cook, which is very different than just doing it on my Weber kettle or throwing them on at 400 degrees. The idea behind this cook is taking it from 0 to 400. You're slowly rendering any of that fat that's in the chicken wings, which kind of just gives it that low and slow flavor, low and slow cooking style, which is really good for all other types of meat. But supposedly it's also very good for chicken wings too, and on the pellet smoker, it apparently is just really consistent and it's a really good way to cook. This is the first time I've done this, so I don't know if that's true or not. Now, as far as the cook that we did here, guys, it was just a standard chicken wing, wet brined overnight. Threw some garlic powder and some black pepper on there and a little bit of olive oil. Threw it onto the smoker. And then when we took it off, we did a glaze, which has some lemon, some honey, some fresh herbs, and then I threw in a pinch of salt because I like salt. But it's time to try it, guys. I'm going to take one of these drums and let's chomp into it and see what the results are. Now, for starters, this is a very good wing flavor. Guys, give this recipe a try. This is a sleeper right here. But honestly, guys, I'm kind of surprised. There's still a good crisp on that skin on here, and the chicken is actually really, really good. This is better than just throwing it on at 400 degrees, and to be honest, I'm actually very surprised. I thought this was a gimmick when I saw it on the internet, but everybody posting on the internet can't be wrong, right? In this case, they're not. This is actually really, really good. This is better chicken wings than I've done on my pellet smoker, throwing them on at a high temperature. I think I need to experiment more with this. I want to try it with some different types of flavors, do it with some really wet, do it with some really dry, but I'm actually kind of astounded at how much better this is than just throwing it on at 400 degrees. Guys, if you have a pellet smoker, actually give this one a try. This really is kind of worth the meme. Now, all that being said, guys, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on the best way to cook chicken wings. Have you tried this before? Is it worth it? If not, tell me why down below. But as always, guys, cook sound fantastic, and I will see you on the next barbecue. And that might be for chicken wings. Bye-bye.